So from a military's perspective, we're going to talk about the differences between these two and the applications of the differences. So the biggest difference between these two platforms really comes down to the projectile. So this right here is your 5.56 with a 62 grain bullet. Its effective range is about 550 yards. So that's the accurate distance that this thing can shoot. This right here is a little bit bigger. Put them a little side by side right there. This guy's a little bit bigger. So this shoots a 168 grain bullet. Shoots out about 3,000 feet per second, 2,500 feet per second for a really slow one. Can shoot out to 1,000 yards if you're really good at it, but I'd say the effective range is about 750 to 800 yards or so. That range right there between 500 and 700 yards is really where this gun is going to show its true colors. This kit right here is actually really well set up for the mission, which is that long distance, mid-range shooting that you would give this gun to your designated marksman. And so what would happen is, in a firefight, designated marksman would find cover, he would take well-aimed shots, and be able to dispatch the enemy at medium to long ranges consistently. All right, so this particular setup is well done because it has this bipod here, which makes it a very stable platform. And then we have our magnifying reticle here to maximize distance and accuracy. All right, so what we do is get behind this firearm here and set up our long distance shots for that accurate suppression of the enemy. We use this with suppressive light rifle fire. So whether that be like fully automatic fire from a 249 saw or from like a medium or heavy machine gun, that'd be great as well. We can also use individual rifle fire if we had a fire team or a squad of 12 guys. Putting down suppressive fire with that AR15, and then we have our designated marksman identifying each individual target and taking them out one at a time with very accurate fire. So we have our 308 AR10 loaded up. Get on target and bang. And then move, adjust, bang. Move, adjust, bang. Move, adjust, bang, and take well-aimed, systematic, accurate shots to eliminate each individual downrange while you're applying support fire and suppressive fire, hopefully accurate fire as well, but you can really dominate at that 500 to 700 yard range where the enemy has very little effectiveness, and you'll be able to suppress the enemy in that range that most militaries can't effectively use. And that's kind of the benefit of having a long-range firearm like this in your squad. For the sake of this video, while talking about military firearms, we have an AR-15 here, but I'm going to be talking about the M4 or even the M16A2. They're very similar platforms, just with a couple very small variant differences. And for the effectiveness of the firearm, they're approximately the same, considering Marines never use it on 3-round bursts. One shot, one kill. It's very effective as an accurate tool with absolute control than just bursting off rounds. Some of the great positives of this firearm, right? So it's extremely light, very easy to use, very accurate. Contrary to what most people believe about this gun, it is actually quite reliable. The original version, the M16, well, it's just the M16, the fully automatic Armalite M16, was very unreliable in Vietnam. I've read that the original M16, created by Armalite, was designed around an ammunition that was too expensive for the military to create and reuse. So they made the firearm to operate with a cheaper round, which made the gun not nearly as reliable through Vietnam. With that being said, they've definitely addressed all the reliability issues through engineering and through time, and this gun runs very well. So this one right here is a Daniel Defense Upper Receiver. I've shot probably 3,000 rounds through it and have never had a malfunction, not one time ever. And so, and it runs good. This is kind of the go-to. This is what pretty much every basic infantry individual, anybody who's boots on the ground, is going to get one of these. This is going to be the most diverse firearm on the battlefield, being able to do CQB, close quarter combat. So this particular setup right now has a EOTech optic on it, which I really love the red dot sights. So zero magnification, red dot, just put it on the target and press. That's really optimized for your short range. I can shoot this thing pretty good out to 100, 150 yards, but with the red dot, anything beyond that, it's just going to take more time and accuracy to get on target. It's not really optimized for that distance. So with both eyes open, I just put the red dot on the target and I press the trigger. If I was to patrol with this firearm, I would patrol, well, so first I'm going to show you the single mount sling. So this has got a single pivot here with the QD connection. So it's connected into the buttstock here. And this gives the gun a lot of mobility. So it's on my butt person, can kind of let the sling take a little bit of the weight as I patrol. Might look a little bit lazy like this, but it is what it is when you're out there for 8-10 hours. So I'm gonna keep two hands on the gun at all times while patrolling. And then one of the benefits of having that single point mount on your sling is the mobility in the gun. So this is great for CQB. I can take the gun and shoot over my shoulder if I need to get him tight. I can bump it over to the other side and look around the corner. And so having that mobility with the single mount is really good. Now, if I wanted to be a little bit more lazy, what I can do is use the 2-point sling. So I get 2 points on the gun. So if I need to do some work or something, I'm gonna have it hanging in front of me like this with those 2 points. I'm gonna use my hands.
So we don't use that QD stuff, man. Stay away from QD.
Yeah, I paid like an extra $30 for the QD version of this. And that's not the first time that's happened to me. I mean, it's Magpul too, so that they didn't, well, I don't know anything, but it's Magpul. So there it is with the 2-point sling, being able to have more controllability and have that gun in the fight. But as far as the mobility goes, I can't bump it across. Lifting it up, it's a little awkward. But getting into the fight's pretty easy. You move with it. So getting this gun up in the fight is pretty fast, pretty easy. So you want to be far forward on the handguard. You want your thumb in a high, firm pistol grip. Well, normally you'd want it in a high, firm pistol grip. Okay, so this is kind of a little advantageous for me being left-handed and be able to clip that safety. So to present to a threat, clip the safety, bring the gun up, and present. You want to stay squared up to that threat as square up as you can. So if you take any shots, they go to the body armor, and you don't have a double lung shot from the side. Double lung shots can't be correct. Okay, so you're marching in formation with your squad, patrolling. Got eyes up, heads on a swivel, moving around, looking around, always trying to check your areas, check your sectors. So you should have a specific direction that you're trying to pay attention to. The guy in the rear is going to be doing a lot of rear security. He's going to be walking backwards, looking back as he's walking. It's very important that you know your job and execute your job as you're going. Now, if you identify a threat, the first thing you're going to do is announce to everybody what the threat is and where it is. So, if you see 3 enemy insurgents, I'll say 3 enemy insurgents out in the open, right? Or I'll say 3 enemy insurgents, 3rd floor window. 3 enemy insurgents in a ditch. If they were really close by and they would hear me, if I address them, if I have the upper hand in the ambush and I know that they're enemy combatants, then I would shoot them immediately as fast as I possibly could and hope that my team jumps on the bandwagon pretty fast and helps with supportive fire. All right, so on patrol, identify enemy Filipino in a chair. Move forward. Put the gun on the ground. Boom. So we put a toe tag on him. And so we're gonna grab a piece of paper. We're gonna write the time and some information on it. Put that toe tag on him. So I have one in my admin pouch here. Grab it out, write it out, put it on his foot. Well, it's for identifying the body. I mean, that body might get returned to their family. That body, it needs to be documented of what happened and where it was. And it also depends on, like, Also depends on the war, right? So if you're doing like just a patrol through Afghanistan and the city's been taken and we're just trying to identify threats and any cells or what's going on in the village or patrolling that area or whatever. I mean, we're not only going to be fighting combatants, we're also going to be learning about the general population, hearts and minds, try to figure out what their wants and their needs are, maybe dig a well, maybe replace a road. We're going to integrate into that community to try to best understand what we can do to not only help the general public, but also protect them and suppress any type of uprising. And to do that, identifying that individual and that body, and then logging that interaction and try to figure out like who he is and what do we know about his background and who does he hang out with and who his friends are and who his family is, and then give the body back to his family so they can bury him. But yeah, so it all gets documented, and make sure I didn't shoot him for no reason, or that somebody didn't shoot him for no reason, that we can identify why he was shot. Oh yeah, so with like a designated marksman shot, with that 750 yards, I mean, if I take out let's say I take out a guy who's Al-Qaeda, who's an Al-Qaeda sniper or something, and we're in a firefight, and it's 700 yards out there, that's enemy territory, I'm not going to walk over there in my flip-flops and just say, hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and process the body after the smoke is cleared. I mean, if it's enemy controlled territory, it's their problem that they have a body on that side. So the whole thing is we don't always toe tag or document or investigate everything that ever happens out in theater, but depending on how much control essentially we have, or how deep we're in war. Are we occupying? Are we doing road checks and monitoring and controlling and protecting the general population? Or are we enforcing? Are we in war? Are we fighting? Are we them against us? And so if we're fighting, you just kill the enemy and you let the enemy deal with their dead. But if you are occupying, it kind of turns a little bit more into a police type organization, a kind of enforcing the peace and martial law. All right, so this is your basic light infantry firearm there. Really easy to carry that ammunition, really easy to keep it in the fight, pretty aggressive, very good at short to medium range, up to 500 meters. This guy here is that longer range, very aggressive, semi-automatic platform. It's going to have a little more kickback. Hopefully the guy that uses it has a little bit more patience and has some very good accurate shots to be able to whittle down and suppress and take down the enemy one. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and click the bell. Otherwise, subscribe anyway because I like the number, but the bell is what. Don't listen to the globalist lies, Zuckerberg. All right, so that's it. That's simple. Decent group up here. Probably could have tightened that up. Every round on target. This is not my firearm, but